And now part two of our exclusive interview with Julian Assange. We pick up our discussion on the fallout from WikiLeaks' release of those leaked DNC emails. Are you receiving more leaks now in the wake of what we saw, here in the U.S. election in July?
Yes, every time, of course, that we have a big publication, there's a lot of reportage, and sources see this and they go, okay, WikiLeaks works. I'll give them my stuff. So that's a good thing. Unfortunately, it means that we're drowning, having to work around the clock.
There was a lot of speculation here in the United States that perhaps Russia was behind the hack of the DNC. I know you're not giving up your source, but there was also speculation about whether your source was inside the DNC and whether it may have potentially been a man named Seth Rich who was killed. He was shot in what police initially said looked like a robbery just last month. You came out in an interview with Dutch television and mentioned Seth Rich in a discussion about whistleblowers and the need to protect them. And WikiLeaks, in fact, offered $20,000 for information leading to the arrest of Seth Rich's killer. Why are you so interested in Seth Rich's killer?
We're very interested in anything that might be a threat to alleged WikiLeaks sources. The police have offered $25,000. We have offered $20,000. We're not saying that Seth Rich's death necessarily is connected to our publications. That's something that has to be established. But if there's any question about a source of WikiLeaks being threatened, then people can be assured that this organization will go after anyone who may have been involved in some kind of attempt to coerce or possibly, in this case, kill a potential source.
Do you have any suspicions on who may have been behind his murder?
We have received a variety of information. We will be reporting that information to the police. I don't think the information so far is enough to start pointing any direct fingers. We don't want to compromise the police investigation.
Trying to read you, Julian, and whether you, I know you don't want to reveal your source, but it certainly sounds like you're suggesting a man who leaked information to WikiLeaks was then murdered.
If there's someone who's potentially connected to our publications and that person is then murdered in suspicious circumstances, it doesn't necessarily mean that the two are connected. But it is a very serious matter that type of allegation is very serious, and it's taken very seriously by us.
I want to ask you, because there's a big AP report today saying WikiLeaks releases the private information of innocents.
Well, it's a nonsense report. It's not by AP. It's not some big team at AP to put this together. It's by a single journalist, Seth, who has a conflict of interest. Have a look at him on Twitter. He's been campaigning against us ever since this DNC leak.
I got to ask you about the U.S. election. As you point out, you're not an American citizen. You're an Australian. You're clearly not rooting for Hillary. But are you rooting for Trump?
No. I mean, if we have good information on Trump, we publish that. If we have good information on Hillary, the Democrats, we publish that. I would like to believe that no media organization in the United States would not have published the DNC emails. But I don't think that's true, actually. I think MSNBC wouldn't have published them. I think the New York Times wouldn't have published most of them. And that's sad. There's incredible politicization in this election of the media. And it is a bit concerning, the allegations that by the Clinton campaign that everyone is a Russian agent are really disturbing. Why is that? Well, because bizarrely, Hillary Clinton, the Democrat, has positioned herself now to be the security candidate. She's powered up with the neocons responsible for the Iraq War, and she's grabbed on to this kind of neo-McCarthyist hysteria about Russia and is using that to demonize the Trump campaign. The Trump campaign has all sorts of things wrong with it, but as far as we can see, being Russian agents is not one of them. Some people have asked us when will we release information on Donald Trump. And of course, we are very interested in all countries to reveal the truth about different candidates so people can understand. But it's really hard for us to release anything worse than what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth every second day. I mean, it's part of his charismatic appeal that he speaks off the cuff But, you know, that's difficult for Donald Trump to overcome a lot of those things, even with a lot of great material coming out by WikiLeaks or other publications.
Right, and you don't do the hacking, you just do the releasing. And you know, there have been some leaks about our military, including one back in 2007 that was controversial. You guys released video of an Apache helicopter in Baghdad, and sure enough, the United States had killed 2 Reuters photographers, and some children were injured. And WikiLeaks, you know, we saw that thanks to video that you guys released. But the military came out later and said it doesn't show the full context, and they say RPGs were found. Ground troops leader discovered 2 RPGs, an RPG launcher, a rifle where this group had been clustered.
Look, we had a clear result. The US government had to admit in court under oath in 2013 that not a single person that it could find had been harmed as a result of our disclosures.
Do you need to be more careful? What say you to the charge that these releases need to be screened better by WikiLeaks if you're going to do it at all?
Well, let's back step. So what exactly is the allegation here? The allegation is that WikiLeaks is publishing too much true information.
But private,
private,
confidential information.
Half of that, we agree. We publish a lot of information, and it's had a perfect record so far.
Julian Assange, the man who may hold the October surprise, or perhaps September. We'll have to wait to find out. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Megyn.
Well, you just heard Julian Assange talk about